What's going on, everyone? So the Golden State Warriors have a lot to kind of figure out and navigate this offseason. Obviously, they fell short of their goal of going back-to-back and winning an NBA championship. The Golden State Warriors also are only getting older and kind of need to start looking to potentially retool, go younger. What do they do with Klay Thompson? What do they do with Draymond Green? Draymond Green is very likely opting into his contract. The new CBA completely destroys the flexibility that the Golden State Warriors now have going forward because there's so much salary that they're paying and so much of the tax that they're paying. They ended up losing Bob Myers already, which is the first signal that things are going to change here. And all the talks and reports that, like, hey, Bob Myers, he wanted to leave because he loves these guys. He loves Klay. He loves Draymond. He doesn't want to have to be the guy that now has to break up the Golden State Warriors and has to break up the three amigos, the trio that has been a part of this dynasty the last 10 plus years. And I completely understand that and don't blame Bob Myers at all for being like, hey, let this be somebody else's problem. Because it's only going to go one of two ways. Either A, you make that move and you win and it's great and people love you and you're the hero for making the tough call, or B, you end up trading those guys, you don't win, things are struggling, things are bad, you don't get the assets that you needed to really revamp this roster, and now everybody's calling for your head and got the pitchforks and fire and ready to just throw you to the wolves. That is very likely what the result's going to be for whoever steps up and has to make those calls, has to make those decisions, right? And you still have a lot of young guys, right? Jordan Poole. And then not just that, but the Draymond and Poole fight. That, I'm sure, didn't help at all. I mean, even Draymond relayed as much as that, that was a huge mistake for them going forward. Steve Kerr, you heard him say, hey, this just wasn't a championship team this year. We just didn't have it in us. We reached the end. We hit that roadblock. And so now it makes sense that we're getting reports that the Dubs are looking to restructure, was the word that's used, restructure their current roster, and that they're not actively shopping guys like Jordan Poole and other guys in general, but essentially no one is safe but Steph Curry. That basically anybody on the Warriors roster is available outside of Steph Curry. And that could be very interesting. And the reason the Lakers are on my mind is because, the Lakers very well could have been the one to end this dynasty. The Lakers very well could have been the ones that kind of put it into this and made those drastic changes. Granted, it would have been somebody at some point, right? It would have been eventually, even if the Warriors beat the Lakers, they probably lose to the Denver Nuggets, and then that changes, and, now it's Denver. It's kind of ironic and funny, though, how just sports works in general, that not only was it the Lakers, but it was LeBron James and the Lakers. But regardless, so here's the report. Here's what is said. That doesn't mean Poole is safe. That doesn't mean anyone besides Steph Curry is safe. The Warriors intend to explore various avenues to restructure the roster this summer, both small and large in scope. That can mean Poole is part of a trade if the return package appeals. So again, this was just per The Athletic, and basically just, hey, look, they're not just going to trade these guys for the sake of trading these guys. And this was the Athletic report from Anthony Slater. And they say, hey, we're willing to find that right package, and we're going to explore possibilities. We're going to explore different scenarios. Look, and that's what they have to do. Jordan Poole is very likely the only real way to change this roster because he's the young guy that has the most value and talent. Problem is, he played so atrociously and he is getting paid max money. Does a team look at his recent performance and go, oh man, that's the guy we want to trade a haul for? Last year, the previous year, the year that the Warriors won, I'm sure teams would have been lining up to sign Jordan Poole, right? Because he was young. He was killing it. He does average 25 a game, 26 a game, something like that without Steph. So he is a guy that teams could be looking at and going, okay, when he's the guy and it's not him and Steph or him backing up Steph or whatever, he plays in a little more control. He's able to score more. He's more efficient, more productive. Like, all of those things I think matter, right? And I do think, like, if he goes to a team where he's not backing up Steph Curry and feeling like he has to match Steph and Steph's just brilliance at times, I do think that he can be a solid, efficient player. I think he's easily a 25-point-a-game guy. He's not going to give you defense, but most big scorers in today's NBA don't give you defense. So he's a guy that I think in the right situation, the right environment, is easily a 25, 5, and 5 guy, at least, right? He's a guy that could be just your go-to scorer and be a guy to make plays down the stretch, hit shots. He's not afraid to shoot. He's not afraid of the moment. He believes he is, just king of kings, right? Like, all of that stuff. So, but ideally, you'd imagine the Warriors want to keep Jordan Poole, but I just don't think you can have him with the way that the roster is currently constructed. Jordan Poole is the only real piece that could potentially get you some real value. I think, this is just my thoughts, the Warriors are like, we don't necessarily want to trade Poole, hint, hint, wink, wink, but if you happen to want to, give us an offer, like, you got some nice players over there, it would be a shame if those players weren't traded for Jordan Poole. Like, so, hey, do you want to trade Jordan Poole? Like, that's kind of what I lean towards. That's kind of what I think. I think it's something along those lines of, like, hey, like, nah, we don't really want to trade Jordan Poole, but what offer do you got? Like that salesman that's like, nah, like, we're not in a rush to sell this, but hey, what kind of offer would you put in? Like, that's kind of what I see with Jordan Poole. The big three are very likely coming to an end. I wouldn't be shocked if the Warriors run it back one more year. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they, and even there have been reports that have came out that Steph wants that. Like, give us one more shot. Let's see what we can do. Like, was this just an anomaly? We were close. We felt like we were there. Or is this, like, really the end of ends for us? Which, that could be something that they do. Like, run it back one last time. See if you can kind of reignite the magic. But I don't see it. I just don't. I think, because Klay is never going to be the same Klay again, right? He had some great moments. He had some brilliant moments. He was a huge kind of load carrier while Steph was out. But they don't have anybody but Steph that on a consistent basis can be the guy, right? Like, and I'm not saying, or not even necessarily the guy, but another guy, right? Like, and that was the problem in the Lakers series. They didn't, like, Steph was Steph and was great and brilliant. But outside of Steph, nobody else showed up. Like, Draymond had that one great game. But outside of that, he was rough. Klay Thompson had that one great game. But then outside of that, he was rough, right? Jordan Poole had, like, one good game. And then outside of that, it was rough. And it was just like, can somebody else step up? And I just don't see it. Like, Draymond would be great just as, like, the defensive anchor, as that veteran guy. Like, Draymond still does a lot of really important things for the Warriors. But I just think at this point, they got to trade Klay. You try to move off of Klay, you try to move off of Poole, and you try to kind of retool around Green and Steph. It's kind of like, if you want to try, if you're trying to win another championship in Steph's window, that's kind of my thoughts. Keep Steph, keep Draymond, trade everybody else, and get as nice of a package in return as you possibly can. Like, go get, like, can you go get a Miles Turner, right? And have, like, Steph, Green, Turner, and then go and get a couple other pieces that could come in and kind of round out the roster, right? Like, imagine if you had Steph, can you go get like a defensive-minded shooting guard, like a 3-and-D guy, something like that. But, like, if you could have Steph, Wiggins, Draymond, and Miles Turner, it's really good 4 out of 5. Now you just need that other piece to come in and play the 2 spot. And then just kind of round out your depth, your roster. I think you'd have a good shot. I think you would. Because they definitely need a real center. They do. They need another center that can bang. And I think Miles Turner would be perfect. Block shots, shoot, stretch the floor. which is the way that the Warriors like to play. They could run all kinds of different sets and stuff with that. I don't know. It's just kind of my thoughts with that. But in general, something's got to change. They got to do something. And I think the Warriors, as we know it, is coming to an end. I really do. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think ends up happening with the Golden State Warriors? Do you think like this is it? This is the end of the run? Who would you trade? Who would you keep? How would you approach it? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.